Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mr. English Channel, where learning English is easy and fun. I'm Emily.
Hello, Emily. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here with you all today, ready for another great chat.
It really is. You know, Paul, I was reading some comments from our listeners this morning, and one of them really stood out to me.
Oh, yeah? What were they saying?
Well, this listener was saying that they read English perfectly and they listen to podcasts all day, but when it's time to actually speak, they just freeze completely.
Man, I hear that all the time. It's like your brain just goes totally blank, right? You know the vocabulary, but it hides from you.
Exactly. It's such a common feeling. You have the words inside your head, but they refuse to come out of your mouth.
It's incredibly frustrating. You end up translating everything in your head very slowly, word by word.
Yep, and by the time you build the sentence, the conversation has already moved on to a totally different topic.
So true. It makes you feel like you aren't making progress. But the good news is you can actually train your brain to stop doing that.
Right, because speaking isn't just about learning more grammar rules. It's a physical and mental skill, and you have to change how your brain processes the language.
Let's start with how most people try to learn new vocabulary. Usually, they just sit there and stare at a list of words for hours.
Oh, for sure. Or they read their notes over and over again, just hoping the words will stick in their memory.
But that's super passive, isn't it? Your brain isn't really working hard when you just look at the translation on a page.
Exactly. Instead of just reading, you need to force your brain to try and remember without looking. It's a process called retrieval.
Retrieval. So, like pulling the information out of your brain instead of just putting it in?
Yes. So you look at a new word, cover it up with your hand, and then try to say it out loud from memory.
That little struggle, that moment where you have to think really hard to find the word, that's actually where the magic happens.
It really is. When you force your brain to retrieve the information, you build a much stronger pathway in your memory.
It definitely feels harder in the moment, but you remember it so much faster the next time you need it.
And building those strong pathways helps with something else, too. You have to train your brain to react automatically.
Right, because in a real conversation, you don't have 10 seconds to stand there and think about every single reply.
No, you really don't. Think about a simple, friendly question, like, how was your weekend?
If someone asks me that on Monday morning, I don't think about grammar at all. I just say, it was great. How about yours?
Exactly. It's totally automatic. Fluency isn't always about knowing thousands of complex, difficult words.
No, it's about shortening that delay. It's about reducing the time between hearing a question and giving an answer.
So you should practice those everyday questions and answers out loud until you don't even have to think about them anymore.
Just walk around your house answering imaginary questions. How's it going? Pretty good, thanks. What are you up to? Not much.
Yes, it looks a little silly if someone sees you, but it trains your brain to just let the words out naturally.
And speaking of letting words out naturally, you shouldn't be building your sentences word by word in the first place.
That is such an important idea, Paul. Native speakers don't build a sentence by picking one word, then another, then another.
Right, we don't think like that. We use blocks of words that just belong together. We call them chunks.
Yes, like the phrase, it depends on. We don't think about it, then depends, then on. It's just one idea.
It's just one piece of language, like I'm looking forward to. You don't build it from scratch, you just grab the whole block.
Exactly. When you learn vocabulary, don't just write down one single word. Write down the whole phrase it usually lives in.
It saves so much mental energy during a chat. If you have those chunks ready to go, your sentences flow smoothly.
It really does. You stop worrying about which preposition to use because you already learned the whole chunk together.
Okay, so learning chunks is great, but how do we actually practice them so they stay in our heads forever?
Well, you have to challenge yourself. Your brain learns the most when the task feels just a little bit difficult.
Yeah, if you always practice in your comfort zone, just reading quietly in your room, you aren't really growing.
Exactly. You need to create a little bit of healthy stress. I always tell my students to try setting a timer on their phone for 1 minute.
Oh, I love the timer trick. You just pick a random topic, start the timer, and force yourself to talk about it until the alarm rings.
It's surprisingly hard. You might stumble, you might say the wrong word, but that's your brain working out, like a muscle.
Or try answering an unexpected question. Have a friend ask you something totally random, just to see how fast you can respond.
When you make your daily practice slightly uncomfortable, real conversations suddenly feel a lot easier and more relaxed.
But doing that 1 minute challenge just one time isn't enough, is it? You can't just do it once and be fluent.
Oh, definitely not. You have to repeat these useful phrases and exercises until they almost feel boring.
Boring? That sounds a little strange for a fun English learning channel.
I know, but think about playing a sport or playing the piano. You practice the same simple moves over and over.
Right, you play the same notes hundreds of times until your fingers just know where to go without you looking at the keys.
Speaking English is the exact same physical process. Real fluency comes from massive, consistent repetition.
So if you learn a useful chunk of language, don't just say it twice in class and move on to the next chapter.
No, say it 20 times. Say it in the shower. Say it while you are driving to work. Say it until it takes zero effort.
Until your brain just produces the phrase like it's the most normal thing in the world.
Exactly. You want it to become a totally natural habit that you don't even think about.
You know what else is a great natural habit?
I think I know exactly what you're going to say, Paul.
Liking this video and subscribing to the channel. If you're finding these ideas helpful today, make sure to hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, and please share this episode with a friend who is learning English too. It really helps us grow the community.
And we'd love to hear from you guys. Leave a comment below and tell us which of these speaking struggles hits closest to home for you.
Do you freeze up when answering questions or do you translate word by word? Let us know down in the comments.
So, getting back to our chat, repetition is awesome, but real life isn't always as quiet and comfortable as your living room.
Definitely not. Real life has noise, people interrupting you, and a lot of social pressure.
Yes. Think about standing at a busy coffee shop. The music is loud, there's a huge line behind you, and the barista asks you a question really fast.
That situation is stressful. If you've only practiced in a silent bedroom, you might panic in that coffee shop.
Exactly. That's why you need to simulate real-life pressure when you practice speaking at home.
How do you like to do that? Do you just turn on the television really loud while you study?
Well, maybe. But actually, playing a YouTube video of coffee shop background noise while you practice is a great trick.
Oh, that's actually a fantastic idea. It forces you to focus your mind and block out the distractions.
Right. Or give yourself only 3 seconds to answer a practice question. Train your brain to handle a little bit of a rush.
And when you're under that kind of pressure, you don't need to try and use big, fancy, complicated words.
No, you really don't. You just need the basic words that people use every single day in normal life.
This is so important. A lot of learners spend weeks memorizing complex academic vocabulary that native speakers almost never use.
It's true. You don't need to know the scientific word for weather when you just want to say it's raining outside.
Exactly. Focus on high-frequency language, the simple verbs, the common expressions, the things we say daily.
If you master those basic everyday words first, you can navigate almost any normal conversation comfortably.
Yeah, because those common words make up like 90% of a regular daily conversation anyway.
So don't worry about trying to sound like a university professor. Just aim to sound like a normal, friendly person ordering lunch.
You know, if you focus heavily on that common language, it actually helps you listen a lot better too.
Oh, absolutely. Because when you know how people usually talk, you start to predict what they are going to say next.
Right. Like if a waiter walks up to your table with a little notepad, you already know what he's probably going to ask.
Exactly. He's going to say, "Are you ready to order?" or something very similar to that.
You don't have to listen perfectly to every single sound he makes because your brain already anticipates the phrase.
Yes, predicting is a huge secret to fluency. Good listeners are always guessing what's coming next based on the situation.
It takes the pressure off. You aren't trying to decode a mystery. You're just confirming what you expected to hear.
And the more you practice common chunks of language, the better you get at predicting them in the real world.
Another great way to learn those common patterns is by copying how native speakers actually sound when they talk.
Yes, the rhythm of spoken English is so unique. It's not just about pronouncing the vowels and consonants correctly.
Right. English is a language of strong beats and weak beats. Some words are loud and clear, and some almost disappear.
That's why shadowing is such a powerful training tool. When you listen to a native speaker and repeat exactly what they say.
But you have to copy the music of their voice, not just read the individual words like a robot.
Exactly. You copy where they pause, which words they stretch out, and which words they say really fast together.
It's almost like singing along to your favorite song on the radio. You don't overthink it, you just ride the natural rhythm.
When you shadow like that every day, your speech naturally becomes so much smoother and easier for people to understand.
So, we've talked a lot about listening, repeating, and shadowing, but there is one final piece to this puzzle, isn't there?
Yes, and it might be the most important rule of all. You have to produce more English than you consume.
Consume means taking things in, right? Like watching movies, listening to podcasts, or reading articles online.
Exactly. Consuming is wonderful for learning new things, but it doesn't automatically make you a better speaker.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of just watching Netflix with subtitles for 3 hours and feeling like you're studying.
Yes, we've all done it. But your brain only truly learns to speak when you open your mouth and create your own original sentences.
You have to take all that great input and turn it into output. You have to express your own personal thoughts.
Talk to a language partner, record voice notes on your phone, or honestly, just talk to your pet in English.
Oh, yes. Just get the words out of your head and into the air. The more you produce, the more fluent your brain becomes.
Speaking of words coming out of our heads, there were a few really useful expressions we naturally used in our chat today.
Oh, for sure. Sometimes we just drop these great little words into the conversation, and it's good to catch them.
Let's pull a few of them out and take a closer look so our listeners can keep them in their pockets for later.
I like that. So earlier you used the word anticipate. I think you were talking about guessing what a waiter will say.
Right, anticipate. It just means to expect something to happen or to guess what is coming next in a situation.
Exactly. So in real life, I might say, we didn't anticipate such terrible traffic on the way to the airport.
That's a perfect example. Another really good one we used was simulate. We talked about simulating real-life pressure.
Simulate. That means to pretend or to create a safe situation that feels a lot like the real thing, right?
Yep, like airplane pilots. They use computers to simulate flying a plane before they actually fly a real one in the sky.
Oh, that's a great way to remember it. I've got another one. We said people sometimes fall into the trap of just watching movies.
Yes, to fall into a trap.
That means doing something that seems like a good idea at first, but it actually holds you back or causes a problem.
Right. Like, I always fall into the trap of buying too many snacks when I go to the supermarket hungry.
Oh, I definitely fall into that trap too, every single time. Let's look at one more. Blank. Like when your mind goes blank.
Ah, yes. When your mind goes blank, it means you suddenly forget absolutely everything you wanted to say. It's completely empty.
It happens to all of us. I stood up to give my big presentation and my mind just went totally blank.
It really is the worst feeling. But having these common words ready to go definitely helps prevent that from happening.
You know, it's funny. Having the right vocabulary is great, but sometimes I notice learners use these words in ways that sound a little robotic.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. The grammar is technically perfect, but it just doesn't sound like how an American would actually say it.
Exactly. So let's take a couple of common basic learner sentences and see if we can smooth them out a little bit.
Okay, I always love doing this. Give me a basic sentence, Paul. Let's hear the first one.
All right. Imagine a student wants to say they are going to review their notebook. They might say, "I will study my book again."
I will study my book again. I mean, it's perfectly clear. We understand it, but it feels very formal and a little stiff.
Right. A native speaker in everyday life would probably just say, "I'm going to look over my notes."
Look over. That is such a natural chunk of language. It just means to read something quickly to check it or review it.
Exactly. I'm going to look over my notes. It flows so much better. What's another one we can fix?
How about when someone is trying to remember a word and they say, the word is not in my head right now?
I hear that one quite a lot. Again, it's perfectly understandable, but it just sounds a bit unnatural.
Yeah, a much smoother, easier way to say it is simply, I can't think of the word.
I can't think of it. That is exactly what we say all the time. It's simple, it's automatic, and it sounds perfectly native.
Let's do one more. Let's say a learner finishes their English homework and proudly says, I have finished the task.
Oh, wow, very formal. That sounds like a computer robot completing a very important space mission.
Exactly. To sound more natural and relaxed, you would just say, I'm all done, or I've finished up.
I'm all done. It sounds so much warmer and more friendly. These small changes really make a huge difference in how you sound.
They really do. And honestly, hearing these words and phrases used in a real, everyday situation is the absolute best way to remember them.
That's a great idea. Let's do a quick role play to show how some of today's vocabulary naturally fits into a normal chat.
Sounds good to me. Let's imagine we are studying together for a big university exam, and we're both feeling a bit stressed out.
Perfect. I'll start us off. Hey, Emily, are you ready for the big history test tomorrow morning?
Honestly, no. I tried to memorize all the dates, but right now my mind has just gone completely blank.
Don't panic. Did you try simulating the test environment? You know, setting a timer while you answer the practice questions?
Not really. I just kept reading the textbook over and over. I think I fell into the trap of studying passively again.
It happens to the best of us. Let's take a quick coffee break, and then we can look over the notes together. I'm sure you know more than you think.
Thanks, Paul. I didn't anticipate this chapter being this hard, but practicing together will definitely help.
And there you go. See how natural those phrases sound when you just drop them into a normal, everyday conversation?
It really makes a huge difference. And if you guys keep practicing these steps at home, your speaking will become smoother every single day.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed this conversation, please remember to subscribe, like the video, and leave us a comment.
We love reading your comments and building this amazing community with you guys. Keep practicing, keep talking, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. See ya.